Welcome back, everybody. Confidently Flawed. Danny here with Brooke, and we are back with another guest, not Brad from Resolute Physical Therapy, but we are with my main man, Ted, who is actually now my leadership coach, right, buddy?
Woo!
There you go.
Hey, I'm fired up today. It's like that Ric Flair. I don't know what that. Woo!
Ted, as you guys know, if you've been watching and listening to us for a while now, Ted was on quite a few months back talking about your promises and goals and things of that nature. So we loved having Ted on. He's got a lot of really good stuff that I think you guys can value when it comes to mindset and just having the understanding for why we're doing the things that we're doing and why we want to do the things that we're doing. So we got a really fun episode with you guys today, and it's all about your burn, like what's that driving force and your promises, and just kind of understanding why we're doing what we're doing, and how to just gain that belief in yourself, right? We talk about fitness a lot and goals, and a lot of times I think a lot of people struggle with the belief aspect, that they believe they can do it or they believe they can achieve something. So Ted is going to drop some knowledge bombs with you today to hopefully help you with that. So Ted, appreciate you coming on here today, buddy.
Hello, everybody. Brooke, how are you? Danny boy, he's working hard. He's withering away next to me, actually. I think he's down to about 115 pounds.
I'm 10 pounds less than since we started this episode.
Yeah, he's actually, he needs to hydrate more or he's going to dehydrate in front of me. Hello, everyone. I'm going to chat with you about the burn. And really, a lot of this information comes from training that I did with a gentleman by the name of Ben Newman. Ben Newman was the mental development coach for the Alabama football team between the years of 2017 and 2022. And much of what he did with the Alabama football team, and I think during that time they won 2 national championships, he worked on their mental performance and what could they do mentally to gain the edge over really themselves and also their opponents. So I was one of 50 coaches that was trained by Ben. He's trying to train a bunch of coaches in his practice and kind of be apostles of his. But this information I found really, really compelling. And it's part of the mental toughness playbook by Ben. And I'll also add on my website some of these notes I'm going through and some of these pages. I think Ben won't mind. I'll add some of this information so you have hard copies as well. But it first starts with something called the burn. And the burn is really unique to him. And the burn is really, it's what's behind your why and your purpose. You may have a why or a purpose about who you are as a person, but really he goes deeper than this and calls it your burn. So your burn ignites your why and your purpose. And a why and a purpose really is a whole different aspect of who you are, because that determines why do I do what I do, either personally and or professionally. But to go deeper than that is this burn. And let me tell you, the burn is really, it's the person that has sacrificed for you and never gave up on you. Or it's the person, it could be a past person or a current person that does not give up on you and never does, just continues to grind it out and do whatever it takes to help you be a better person. Not themselves. They're really people that are outside themselves that make you a better person. And they're not like they're rah-rah people, or they're not leadership coaches like me. These are just people that really are examples in your life that go above and beyond and really ignite who you are, which is your why and your purpose. So think to yourself, who is that person that really ignites who you are? And mine took a week or so to determine. In Ben's case, it was his mother. And his mother died when he was 8 years old, and she had a terrible illness. And Ben remembers his mother growing up, and she wrote in this blue mead notebook, like life lessons. And his burn was his mother because he never wanted to stop what she taught him. He wanted to continue her legacy as long as he lived. And now he's 45 years old. So he's had so many more years with his mom that she ever had. So in his mind, his mother is his burn. So every day he wakes up and he writes his mother's name. And he writes his mother's name on a sheet of paper that we'll talk about as part of the prize fighter days. And that's what gets him going. He never gives up. And the burn is really the person that ignites you when you're down that day. You don't really want to do something. You're like, man, I don't want to feel like working out. I don't feel like making those calls. I don't want to make the sales call. I don't want to see people. I don't want to see anything. Or just the opposite. You're being successful and you don't want to be seduced by success. The burn, that person, is the one that gets you over the hump and says, you know what? Yeah, I may not have a good day today, but I'm having a great time this quarter and I'm not giving up. I'm going to continue to push and do what I do daily because the burn, that person has never given up on me. So what you do is you try to determine who that person is, that burn person that has ignited your why and your purpose. So any questions from the two of you? I kind of said a lot there.
So, I mean, based on like kind of what you said with Ben, like I think of somebody that's alive, right? But like based on that, it doesn't have to be. It's just somebody that, now is it like, for Ben's situation, is it he always wanted to do right by what she wanted from him kind of thing? Or, you know, like I lost my dad back in 2019. Like I could see him possibly being this, or my wife, you probably. But like, is it because how does that work exactly? You know what I
Great,
mean?
yeah, great question. So in his mind, he would see his mother had some a muscular disease that basically he would see her, in braces, and she would never just give up. She would hobble down, and she had a horrible, painful illness that caused her death. And she would just continue on. She wouldn't complain, and that's what he remembers is her not giving up. I think it was him and his brother, and she just continued on. And she was a single mom. She was a teacher. Forgot to mention. So he has a big, huge spot for teachers in his heart. And her students loved her, and she just continued teaching to the bitter end. And that's what he saw as his example as a young boy at age 8 before she passed.
Could it also, Ted, be the opposite? Where you see, say for the sake of the conversation, say his mother was going through all that and she complained all the time. And he always saw like this negative impact took this individual this route, and I don't want that, right? Or like this person, had such a negative experience and then, they gained a bunch of weight and I don't want that, right? Like could the burn also be like this is what I don't want?
Let's say, for instance, another burn for a person could be Danny never would have played Division I baseball. He wasn't good enough. He was too slow. He couldn't hit a curveball. It was the naysayers. And it could be one naysayer, or it could be a combination of naysayers that said that you would never play college football, baseball, whatever it may be, if it's athletics, using that as an example. So it was multiple naysayers saying, you can't do it. You can't do it. You can't do it. That's another example of a burn, that you're never giving up because you were always the underdog. Or you didn't go to a Power 5 program, yet you were undrafted free agent, yet you still played 10 years in the NFL. You just actually overcome. I think he has one of his students, so to speak, Will Compton. He was told that he was an undrafted free agent and he just wasn't it. And he eventually, I think he played for the Washington Redskins, and he became the captain. And Will just overcame the obstacles.
Oh, he's got a great podcast.
Right. Yeah, he's got a podcast. So Will Compton is a huge Ben Newman fan. So he overcame. That was, believe it, that was his burn, that you would never make it. You were never enough. So it became that negative. Or it could be, for instance, you want a tangible item. You want to work your butt off and sell in order to buy a house for your family. So it could be a temporary burn, and then it becomes just that item. But when you build the house, you buy the house, you got to have another burn because it's temporary. So those are ideas. Basically, it could be a temporary, it could be the naysayers, or it could be someone that really cared about you in the past. They may have passed, or it could be someone currently as well that really, when you are down and you're feeling like you can't do it, or the opposite, you're flying high and you're extremely successful. You think of that burn daily because that person will not give up on you.
Does it have to be, and Brooke, I'm sorry, I keep stealing the questions, but you can jump in, but does it have to be something you consciously think about, or could it be unconscious and then you uncover what that is? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So once you determine what the burn is, however long it takes you to determine, it has to be a tangible person
Yeah.
or people. And then you're writing down, if it's the naysayers, it could be the naysayers saying you can't do it. Or it could be, let's say, if it's your mother, your husband, maybe it's your kids, or maybe it's a combination of your family that becomes the burn. But that it has to be, you have to visualize what that something is. So every day you're writing down that burn, or you're visualizing in your morning routine what that burn is.
I like it.
I love this. And that was one of the questions that I had going back on like the temporary. Is it, because I think we go through seasons of life, like we go through different phases of life and we have different focuses, or, life throws its curveballs and things that we weren't expecting. And all of a sudden, like our mindset shifts. So that was one of the questions I had was, could we have a temporary burn where like in this season of our life, our burn is this. And then all of a sudden we evolve from this season and we're in this season. I think that's helpful to know that it can change if needed.
Right. There's no steadfast rule that it lasts forever. In Ben's example, it's not going to change. It's always his mother, and he has this blue mead spiral notebook that has her notes kind of speaking to him and his brother as well, kind of life lessons. So for him, it's not changing, even though he has a wife and kids. He says, not that I don't value and love them, of course, but it was really my mom that instilled this burn until I was able to articulate it as I got older. And also he graduated from Michigan State. So if you're a state fan, that's where Ben graduated from. And he loves Michigan as well, not University of Michigan, but the state of Michigan. He's a big state of Michigan fan.
Go blue.
Yeah, go blue or go green. Any other questions about the burn?
No, it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. I like this.
All right, the next part we'll chat about in this episode are 5 factors to attaining belief in yourself. So really, it's thinking of these 5 things. And like I mentioned, I'll put this in my notes and I'll add it. I'll call it the podcast episode 4, the burn, and then 5, it'll be prize fighter days. And I'll add notes as well. And so you can access this information on my website. And what's the website? realtedtalk.com.
I love it.
It's just realtedtalk.com, REAL, tedtalk.com.
Love it.
That's it. All right. So the first thing, it's so difficult. It's all about mental mindset and what you do to overcome, like we talked about. So you got the burn. You're not going to give up. That person doesn't give up on you, even when you're feeling down, or just the opposite, when you're feeling high. The first one of the factors is accepting the truth. When you accept the truth, it's basically you're not gonna win every day. In the next episode, it'll be prize fighter days. It'll be stacking these prize fighter days to gain success. And some days you won't have success, but you don't give up on the process. You stack these prize fighter days so you are positive. You're never giving up. You may have had a bad day. Guess what? Tomorrow's a new day. Danny's just thinking about how he's going to lose 3 more pounds overnight by, I don't know what he's going to drink more water.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Or more drinks that he shouldn't be drinking. So the first thing is,
Fit aid.
it's a fit aid.
Yeah, it's vitamins, minerals.
Yeah, vitamin. It's you know what it's called? Clean caffeine. It's clean caffeine.
Green tea.
Yeah, green tea. It's like green tea, or it is green tea.
It is green tea.
It is green tea.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it right here. Okay. I divert.
Yeah, we got CoQ10, Curatin, we got vitamins, electrolytes, turmeric, BCAAs, caffeine from green tea, and glucosamine, omega-3s.
This guy right now is growing in front of me with his muscularity. He is growing muscular. If you guys could see this on the live podcast, it'd be like Ed Milet's coming at me. Anyway, so the first thing is accept the truth. And we never really actually fail in life. And I'm going to read a quote. We never actually fail in life. We just don't always get the results we want. You cannot live a lie. You have to acknowledge and identify with what is most important in your life to ultimately attain belief in yourself. So accept your current truth, but you can change it as well. You can change it. So that's one of the factors of attaining belief in yourself. The next one is speak the truth. And I talked about this before. You can't listen to yourself. You got to talk to yourself. You have to talk to yourself and talk yourself out of the fear, because you don't want to live in fear, which is false evidence appearing real, like our past friend Zig Ziglar. We talked about this before. You can't live in fear, which is false evidence appearing real. You could talk to that truth and say, you know what? This is not going to happen. This is not going to happen. I'm going to overcome it. So you need to speak to your truth. The third thing is breathe through the truth. So with every fiber of your body, whether you're in pain or anger, you have to breathe through the truth and say, you know what? This is not going to destroy me. And you have to really metaphorically breathe and realistically breathe. And I'm a big person of breathing. So as an example, I spoke to Danny about this. Before you go into your house after a long day of frustration, perhaps you're doing a whole bunch of things, stop in the street, not in front of your house, because then you'd be kind of weird, somewhere on your street, and just take some deep breaths. Just breathe in, breathe out, and say to yourself, release, release, release. So you're breathing, you're going in a relaxation phase into your home. Your family doesn't really need to take the burden of the day that you had. It's not fair to them.
Yep.
So if you really just kind of chill out and just do some deep breathing before you walk into the house, or you're going into a meeting and you know it's not going to be the best meeting. I have a thing, you have a door frame, so you kind of use the door frame as your trigger just to deep breathe, close your eyes, and get ready for the meeting, or as you enter that space. So breathe through the truth. That's the third one. The next one is process the truth. Process the truth. Give yourself time and space to kind of find your equilibrium, and believe confidently and wholeheartedly that you can make these changes within you. You have to really process the truth and say, you can do it. Not just they're in your head. That's why the burn is a person that really will hold you mentally accountable. And if the person's already passed, well, you can't say, hey, you're my burn. But sometimes that person, you may tell them that you're my burn and say, well, what does that mean? I'm your burn. And then you kind of talk them through it and say, this is why you're my burn. And the person may say, well, I don't want that pressure.
That's what I was thinking. Sorry, told me that.
Yeah, I want the burn pressure. Yeah. I don't want it. But in your mind, as I said, that person doesn't give up on you. And the last thing, number 5, is to create a plan based on the truth. And that's really where the promises come in. So you're creating a plan. You have to do something that's actionable. And that's where I talked about the promises as opposed to goals. And I discussed that before. So you can have a personal promise and a professional promise, and no more than 2. So let's say, for instance, in my case, if I have a professional promise, I want to increase my coaching business and my real estate business. Plus, I'm also a part-time real estate agent. And, he's laughing over here.
Scale back.
Scale back.
One thing.
So it's like, how do you do both? Well, I wanted to increase my business. And how do I do that? You have your one promise, and then you have 1 to 3 strategies, never more than that. Remember, it's a personal and professional promise, or just one thing, and 1 to 3 strategies. So my strategies were to create LinkedIn and Instagram leadership content posts 2 times per week, learn new leadership content 3 days per week, and then 3 days per week, emails, calls, notes, send out comprehensive market analysis for real estate, and try to promote my leadership business. And I'm happy to say I've already surpassed both of my last year's amounts, and it's May.
Somebody.
So I don't know, it's had that relentless pursuit in those prize fighter days.
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. And you can do it and you can push because you never know what your limit is. You don't know what your ceiling is. You don't know what it is. So you have to create that plan and work the plan. And I have a daily tracker. So I have I have the promises. There's only two. The strategies, I have three per promise. And I just check off what I'm doing. You have to have a visual scoreboard or accountability scoreboard so you can actually see your results and tabulate your success. And that's it. Burn and 5 factors to attaining belief in yourself and a review of our promises, personal and professional.
I like it, Ted. I think you really hit me in the gut, if you will, talking about prize fighter. Just like accepting the truth and understanding that it's one day, right? And this is very good for me to hear. That's why I was shaking my head in a positive way, is like I needed to hear that today, right? Because it's, I've been going through some different things. Brooke, I know you're going through different things, right? Like, so, to have that understanding of like, tomorrow's a new day, like get back to it, right, is huge. Or the breath, right? The breath work is huge. And you shared this with me a few weeks back, and having that point of like triggering events, right? Like the door for me, like when I walk through that door at home, I'm taking my breaths, doing that, going home, and then like whatever has happened through the day, leave it there, right? Like it's a new state. I need to change my state, and I've started to even do that in, having conversations with clients where people coming in inquiring about raw. Like when I come through that door, my goal is to help them change their life, right? And that's what I'm going into it for. Whatever the end result or outcomes ends up being is, at least I know I'm speaking the truth of like what I'm going in with the intent for. And, having that triggering event of like, I'm walking through this door, it's my job to turn that coach on and just be the best I can at helping this person, in front of me. So, I thought that was really cool. And I think the belief patterns or lack thereof for people, I think is really powerful.
Yeah. I mean, all of this is such gold. I think my biggest takeaway was number 2, talk to yourself, and like, talking to yourself and not letting yourself talk to you. I think that that's so important because our mindset plays a role in so much. And I think just in the ways of like how talking to yourself can be beneficial, in a way it can also be harmful, especially if you're letting that talking take control. So I think that's my biggest takeaway, because I get in my head all the time. You go through all the bad things, and I'm one that really, really, really struggles to like live in the present moment and just like focus on the now. I sit there, I've talked about it a lot on this show. I can sit there and say, oh my gosh, we've been going through infertility for 2 years. It's been so long, but I can just focus on the present and talk to myself and be like, okay, here's where we're at now. Here's our day today. Here's what we're going to focus on. And we're going to continue to just move forward, versus like dwelling and letting the mind, letting the words talk to you and control your life. I would say that's very, very powerful. Your words make so much of a difference. And I do strive to try to continue those positive words to myself, and talking to myself, and giving myself a lot of that positive affirmation to just help me keep going through my day.
Excellent. So attack your promises, and you all can do this. And like I said, I'll add some of these notes to my website at realtedtalk.com. And I appreciate the opportunity to chat with all of you. And hopefully these ideas of the burn and belief in yourself and promises will help you gain a better mental frame and position you so you have really intentional focus. So thank you guys.
Awesome, Ted. Well, appreciate you coming on. We'll definitely have you back here to dive deeper into more of these and helping people get the right mindset. So appreciate you coming on today. You kind of shared realtedtalk.com if you want to learn more about what Ted does and his mission and what he's doing. And, as always, guys, we're here to provide value and content for your life to better live a healthier and happier life, right? And so all that we ask is if you're willing to, if you get value from today's episode and other episodes, share it with a friend, share it with a loved one, and give us a rating and review. That's all that we ask in return for, trying to provide some value for you guys. So until next time on another Confidently Flawed podcast episode.